Busting the world's oldest conspiracy by revealing the first writer's formats in the Bible. Have you ever wondered who is editing the Bible? These are some of the words written by the 1611 King James translators that are wrote in its preface. They state 4 reasons how anyone can re-edit the text in the Bible. Their third reason is by the light and feeling we attained unto ourselves. The next arrow down points to them writing, a great clerk, Gregory, is the divine, spelt with a capital D. At the bottom, they will tell you by studying the Bible, your reward is to have a participation in a heavenly nature. Whereas the Bible's words should be telling you how to be obedient to our Creator to enter into heaven. Now you know by their own words, they are not the good guys editing the Bible. Here, let me show you the 12 commandments that are listed in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Surprising, isn't it? Now let me show you how I changed one word in Exodus chapter 26, verse 26, the word bars to arches, and now you know that these planks make the hip roof for the tent for meeting for Yv. Why did I just use 2 letters for our Creator's name? Well, Hebrews did not have the letters J, O, or W in their language. Therefore, I am closer when I say the letters YV in English than anyone else. It is better to learn how to pronounce these 2 letters in Hebrew. Our Creator made me see Him 8 times, and these videos are my recording of how and why I am re-editing their text. Then all these books that I am editing will be made into one book in order. In my YouTube description, it has our Creator's hidden formats in a PDF of the same text. In fact, it is a message to everyone today and in the future. I have also made many different styles from these hidden formats for copyright reasons. I will work on chapter 7 here in just a second, because what I want to do is I want to show those that are new here the formats that I'm finding. And there's 2 major ones. There's others that are in Psalms, but Psalms seems to be a little bit special. It's easy to find these. I'm going to post up Psalms along the side here that talk about Jesus to show you those. So you don't need to see me just sitting here waving my hand, scratch my head thinking about what I'm going to do to the text. But in a 4 verse that you see here, this has a 1, 2, a comma and a period, and a comma and a period. So these 2 join together to make a sentence. Okay, and then these become a small paragraph. And they're done by connecting 2 major words and then adding the least amount of small words between them. You can find them very rhythmically in Psalms 78. And just do the first 20 and you will see how beautiful that text comes out, because that's the start of all this 20, 30 years ago. And what happens is this does make a paragraph, but 2 of them that are so similar become a second or a larger paragraph. So then I put a divide it a little bit more by making it 2 spaces instead of 1. Now, this was the last text that I'd done. In these fuchsia colored words, those were added in 1977 NSAB, and that is the text that I am using here, because I have a concordance. The concordance here, I click on a word, it shows me the Hebrew or Greek word, and then down here it becomes very dangerous because it tells me how many times they used this word. So say like the word finished. See how many different times they've got it, like decided, destroyed, demolished. A lot of them can be close to what the word would be. But as you can see, these are all the English understandings of the word. Now, sometimes, and a lot of times, Strong didn't feel that he needed to add a word from the Hebrew text. and he thought it wasn't important, so he did this. He didn't want to go through and put all these into the text. So a lot of times, sometimes I will click on a word and it will not be there, and I'm just kind of looking for one. Okay, enough of that. Let's get on to editing the text here, because what's going to happen, or is happening, I'm down to the last few books, that I'm going to take all these hidden formats and put them together as one book. And we're going to have the words that the first writers wrote, and that's what I'm claiming these formats are. I've been doing this for 30 years, so it's easy for me to do. Like I said, if you really want to do probably the easiest one to find, and it will be like a 3-verse format, and that'll be Daniel. Daniel is very easy to do. Psalms 1 through 8 will give you a good idea of how to edit for finding these first writers' formats as well. And as you can see, I have a 3-verse here, where this one will be a statement, and this will be a comma and a period to become a sentence. And then this is a statement, the top one, and these two kind of define what this statement is about. I haven't put all the punctuations on it yet, but you can tell that the gray text is text that I'm adding to the text to make the most truthfulness of the text that I can. Well, I promised you Psalms, so let me put up Psalms here. And then this way you can probably do a screenshot from time to time if you wanted to really see how they wrote about Jesus. Over here on this side, let me see. I should get the text more over here for you in the center, and then blow it up a little bit more so it's easy to see what I'm doing here. Now, Solomon was building his own house. Now, that's not really true, because David had built a house across from where the tent was located. So he's not rebuilding the house. He is building his house, because now the above text has description of how the house for our Creator was made out of hewed blocks of granite. And it talked about a few of the items, and then the fence that goes around it, and they pretty much copied the same style, but they made the house a little larger. So that's still in question, how much larger, because they kept the same width, but they didn't, and that's because they're going to bring in the items that were in the tent for meeting and just bring them over into the house. So now it did mention that the 2 angels needed to be rebuilt. Or Solomon had them built. So here, and that might not be true neither, because I just told you it didn't talk about the things that were in the tent for meeting with our Creator. What happened was there's no mercy seat, and the angels have to be holding the mercy seat. And what Solomon has done is got angels that are standing on the right and left hand side of the chest that's holding the 10 Commandments. But where's the seat, mercy seat? So some text I will get to later that I'll be completely editing out. Now this is 51 verses, so this is going to take probably 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours, so I better get to it. So in Solomon would have built it across from our Creator's house that he just got done making or building, and the gate to enter the courtyard to his house is on the south side, and the entrance to the house is on the south side, because in the tent of meeting, the curtains to go into the meeting room with our Creator was on the south side. So they stayed true to all those things, even though you'll see it on the internet, but different, but they are wrong. Now, Solomon, 10 and 13 years, he had finished all his house. I don't think it took that long, okay? It didn't take this long to build from prepared parts. I think it only took like less than 7 years to build the house for our Creator, the fence that was made out of limestone, the floor that's 100 cubics by 100 cubics, that has got limestone there. So it doesn't tell the time the limestone was started, but that's a lot of stones being laid and put properly for what Solomon would call a forever house. Now, Solomon, that was building his house for 13 years. This would have to be like, the word missing is when he finished. And this would be added when he finished. This has to be like the word everything for his house. That's how I note that I'm changing a word. Get rid of it here, put it here with a forward slash, and then this is when I'm adding his house. So now you can see the format is here. Okay. Now, it doesn't have to say now. But I guess if they're putting in order, this should be then. Like after he had accomplished that, he was still going to David's home that he had built or had built there. So, boy, I think when I did those videos, I kept that. I don't know. I'm thinking I said those things wrong in that video. Because when you stop and think about the text and trying to put in your head to make it visually, it has to be correctly assembled. When David had the tent stopped, it stopped on a hill. David most likely had a house for him to build there because it talks about him ruling in Jerusalem, and then the city that used to be Shiloh then would start out that you needed a place for the priests, and then people coming in, and so the city was being built up. David had ordered things to be built or assembled and started making these things for the house. So now it's Solomon's turn to build his house, and this would be across, or on the other side, or the south side of the road from the gate entrance to the courtyard. So the story would have to say that Solomon's now got this house built. Then Solomon built his own house. See here, in 3 years. So I can say this is out because they made it out of wood. So it was probably made out of cedar and cypress trees and other maybe it made out of oak that they would have had in their on their own land. But the men were skillful now. But the only thing is, you can see I got 4 things here. Oh, here it's going to tell me the house was built from the stuff that came from Lebanon. Built his own house. And I'm going to have to add the word in 3 years. In 3 years. And then this. And somehow this has got to be a 3 verse. But that's what I was concentrating here on. Is it a 3 verse or not? So sometimes when I'm not talking, I'm still thinking. When he finished everything for his house, this would be trees, not forest. Trees from Lebanon. Of doesn't need to be here. And he built when he finished building his house. This seems to be added. When he finished everything for his house. And then when he, because this here says this. So if I get rid of this, that's what's confused me. When he finished everything for his house. It was from now because I'm trying to think of the house that he would have built. Cedar trees are actually pretty stinky for a few years. So I don't think he'd live in a house from with that kind of smell. But trees from this would be Israel. Because now I'm thinking, whoops. Israel. When he finished everything for his house, everything in his house, when he finished everything for his. First, he had a house built, it took him 3 years. Then he finished the items for his house. Made when he finished the items for his house. But that still isn't reading what I wanted. This could be just the added word then. He finished the inside items for his house made from our trees. Then Solomon built his own house in 3 years. Then he finished the inside items for his house made from our trees. Now these, that would have been one word, 100 cubics. That's awfully, awfully huge. But the fence that, because in my head, the way I understand this is that the fence around is 100 cubics, which is like 150 feet. So if it's 100 cubics, it would be right. Its length was, that does seem to be, oops, $100. The length of his house was 100 cubic. So I had to get rid of this because I'm looking that I got to make the pattern here, or the length of his house was 100 cubics, and width and since we're know the numbers, I don't need this. We don't need to know the height. That finishes off the 3 verse. Don't 30 cubics, that's 50 feet tall. I don't think so. Okay, so that one's out of reach, just a regular house. On 4 rows of cedar pillars. Cedars, the pillars. Cedars above the chambers. We haven't even got, okay. This I'm going to say is out because now they're trying to put windows in, doors in, and I don't think we need to have this. That's not important today. We just need to know how large it is, which is here, and there should be. And the thing here is we haven't got the courtyard for if his house is this big. What's his courtyard like? Because you also have to understand that this house is not going to be moved. Many kings are going to be there until it comes down to when they're destroyed. There's going to be like this wall that's around it is going to be on the outside for the fortress, and yet they made a secret passage that they escaped through, and when they fled they got caught. But the object is that this courtyard has to exist, so the house is going to be inside of a courtyard. Okay, and guards are going to be stationed right straight across from our curator's place. So this has got to say the courtyard next, and I'm not saying this having the courtyard. And we don't need to know the doors. I need to know, this is that. The rooms, we know that there's a treasury in there. There's going to be a judgment hall. Yeah, there's a hall for judgment, or not a hall, but a room for judging. But that's just understandable when you read the text. His house where he was to live, and was to live. No, the other court inward from the hall. No, this is out too. They didn't make it out of stones. I think we need this. Now that's some big stones, so big blocks, so I doubt that. And don't need that. This, I think, definitely is out, but this was just even the courtyard. That there's okay, a great court was all around it. Okay, maybe I got too quick here. There has to be a wall, so where's the wall? I don't see it as for the courtyard, because if this is a courtyard, I now have and he had a great courtyard. Now, what this is telling me here is this, it's very large, okay? So that's what this is telling me. Great. All around it, which would be the house that we're talking, and this would be the next text. So this would be with, if I'm doing this right, all around it. Even like, if I just put like, well, I would put like here. Even is kind of like, okay. But I don't think it's going to be a major word. Like, this would be like, around it, like his courtyard. And this, if I use the word even and use this as I'm adding it as not an important word, even like, if I just say YHVH'S, because this would be courtyard. So it means that his might have been built out of stone as well. Not for sure. Yeah, I would say the courtyard was out of the stone, out of limestone. Even like YHVH'S, with a great courtyard all around. To be like YHVH'S. Now I need to say I'm adding this word. Okay. Because even I'm trying to say that this word even, I could use it like I was using it, just replacing it, saying I made it, and then I'm using it even like YHVH'S, to be like YHVH'S, all around it, to be like YHVH'S. And then this, don't need to know that. We're talking about the courtyard only, not part of the house. Now this is a king. Now this could be the height of house for our creator. So these words and the and for the porch for his house, King Solomon. The workers of bronze, this because these pillars? Yeah, pillars. These are going to be in front of the house, and I can't remember them being made yet in my head. So this, see, now they're making this guy, this is actually, Tyre is the capital city of Lebanon, so this is wrong. He's a king from Lebanon, so we can't use his name. Okay, so that's out. King Solomon. Now this is a tribe from the tribe 4, so I do the little correcting here. This don't need. Okay. Solomon at 4. And brought because this number is going to move. I'm moving it right now. This just helps locate this text again. Brought 4, brought, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4. That it needs that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and this needs to be so it doesn't get lost. Not italic. Now brought from Naphtali's. a worker of bronze. A workforce in bronze. Well, the bronze. Means these guys here knew how to shape the bronze, cast the bronze. And they want us to believe it's this king, or the same name as the king coming from Tyre. So that's all wrong. And so it's just a workforce that came for the bronze. They had been understanding they had the knowledge this is green, this and this is out, and skill. Skill 4. Whoops. We're doing any work with bronze. Now they didn't fashion, they cast. They're going to cast it in clay. Only clay and they cast. So let's see. Adding this, getting rid of this, and they cast the 2 pillars. From bronze. Now, how tall was this thing? How tall is the house? And I've done a study on this because once you use the inside dimensions, the blocks completely fit by being 1 cubic long, 2 cubics long, or 3 cubics long. They use those 3 blocks to build it. And then how many do you go up? If, let me get a calculator here a second. Oh, that's right. I still got sums going here. That's good. So you're looking at Psalms. I'm punching away on a calculator. If they're 18 inches, and I say that that's a cubic, and if I say that times it by let me just times it if they're 12 cubics high and divide it by 12 inches, it means it's 18 foot tall. But I'm just thinking that that's what they got, 18 cubics in height. To maybe that's maybe that is right, because well they got 18 cubics. I have 12 cubics. But the house is supposed to be great. So what's 18 cubics? 18 times 18 equals divided by what we would know as feet is 27 foot tall. And then it's got to have a roof. Now the walls, the fence that goes around it, they used a 10 cubic board, an 18-foot board, but the board has to go into the ground some to be strong enough as a fence. So if they put it in that, and then the house has got to be able to be seen, and it's going to add a, yeah, if it's 18, that's 18 cubics. I guess I can live with this. But if this is just over the doorway, I gotta say like this. With the height of the pillars. Testing here, testing. That does make it a 4 verse, but let's see if this, let me just say if that's a 4 verse, is it going to become a 4 verse? Because this does read like a sentence, comma, period, and I would have to get rid of this. The porch going in 10 cubics, 10 be 18 feet. Yeah, that would be good before that, and then the roof put on top of that. But and that's all speculating that they didn't. You got to understand the words I'm trying to make sure is happening here is when the disciples asked Jesus uh, about the house, how beautiful the granite blocks are, not stones, but blocks are. So they have to be able to see it as they're walking. So this fence that they've got around it now can't be as tall as what I've got up in the text above. It's more like only 10 foot tall, which make it six. Well, if it's 6 cubes, it would be like 9 cubics high. Or to get 9 feet, it would be 6 cubics high, because they would be able to, at that height, they can still see the house, even though it's set in the middle. Because also Jesus is going to be, body is going to die on the cross, and that's going to be outside on that road that he walks into, because there's going to be a graveyard on the north side. You wouldn't have the graveyard next to our Creator's house. Maybe you do. Don't exclude anything here. And maybe that's why it was easier for the king to escape. To go out would be the graveyard be on the south side of the road. And all these years I've been thinking would have been on the north side of the road. So the tombs would have to been inserted into the hillside on the house side. Everything has got to be pieced together to be for this text to be right. But 10 cubics, I just put 8 cubics. Now I've got this was 18 cubics. I don't know how this is. I don't know what to do with them. Okay. Oh, I need to take a quick break. I need to get everything set back up here. I do sit in a lazy boy and use the arms as my mouse pads. Mouse for the computer you're seeing me edit on, and then edit on the other one as well. Well, I got OBS running on another screen. So is the mic where? Yep. Okay, I can see the mic moving. Stream is still healthy. Okay, now if I one pillar, the pillars were in line. Now there's going to be capitals put on these, so this number here were aligned and the pillars were I guess in line. I guess with one another. And this, all this is needed. This is telling you how round they were, 18 inches. Let's make them 2. Two cubics. Two cubics measured in, and I'm going to have to say measured in width. Um, and the pillars were in line. Measured in width, 2 cubics. That's what's going on. I'm reading this, and it's actually, I need to say move this verse. Verse, on one, I go like this. Now copy this. Okay. And the pillars were in line and measured in width 2 cubits. I like that. Now, they made they also made 2 and I'm not gonna call them capitals. I'm gonna call them 2 tops. This is something that we'd have today, is knowing all these different. They would just know they put something on the top, 2 tops. Okay, from what I'm understanding, the Hebrew didn't have a very large vocabulary of cast bronze. Of solid bronze. If it's molted, it has to be solid to be more truthful to the word. Instead of what I want to do. If I cast it, it could collapse. So I want to make it solid. So now this goes here. And then to set the pillars. And the height. So it has to be both of them. Tops are, that was, they're there. First person would write it as ours, as it was, not it was. A cubic, which is 18 inches, which, okay, that's okay. And this is just saying that it's on the other one too. So that can get rid of. Now net, a net of network. Don't need these words. How am I going to say this? This is, how do I say this? They got it put, that's going to be put on the capital. And this would have been, and if, how do I put it? Because if you look up and you're seeing this bronze, or the bronze pillar. If they're just smooth side, you want to decorate them. And you would decorate them with this network. So the pillars had nets of twisted thread, of twisted like twisted threads. Okay, like this here. It's not chain work, it's a network. Nets. Pillars and the pillars had nets like twisted thread to the top of the pillars. I don't think they made pomegranates. No, this is kind of far away from this because this tops of the pillars. I forgot what I just added here. Okay, let me go over here for a second. Look. Added the word S here. The tops of the pillars. Tops of the pillars. Or the roof of the porch. That's what's going on. The tops of the pillars for the roof of the porch. lily, these I think are flowers that grow in the water that you see. If you ever seen a lily, they are two colors. I've seen them both pink and white, and they look like flaming. They, anyways, you can look it up. Like a lily. And this, I have to say, I mean, this look like a lily flower. Like a lily flower. This wouldn't be true. And I think this has got to be moved up. Yeah, they're going to go right here. Okay. So I want to put extra space here. Be able to get here. Let's move group up. This is going to be 2 spaces. Okay, and then this is going to be 1 space. And then this is going to tell you about the rest of the pillars, but they just described the pillars had this on it, and then the netting was on this. So that's good. And then the story would go as this would be a group, and then there'd be 2. I just had a hard time reading this, and it kept confusing me. So, okay, that was done for me to I'll just read it real quick. Okay, 1 hour, 16 minutes, not bad. Maybe you get to see me for a while here, I guess. Thus he set up the pillar. I should already have this over here on my cheat sheets. Then they set up the pillars. Um, and he didn't name them. Okay, the lily design is again. Now, all these things are not going to be true because they're just taking them. Everything is already made in the tent for meeting. And they're just going to bring that stuff and bring it in because I know the story that's coming up is going to be that Solomon gathered them. They went from there and grabbed the articles, then they came in and had them put into the tent. Now, this tent where it's set up and where it's going, it's I'm thinking the tent is like I said, the road going into Jerusalem that Jesus went up and down here, and this was where he stayed that night. It was a mount with olive trees on it, and it wasn't named then because everything was hilly, so they wouldn't have designated one. So it had to have olive trees. But before the olive trees were there, that's where the tent would have been, and they would have been just moving from there up, down the road, up, and then come around and then go into the entrance. Because I'm thinking his house isn't made yet, because that's where they would have been standing when. Yeah, okay, because he's going to stand and talk to our creator about what they've done. Okay, so everything's got to be in my head the way the story, when I put it together, has to be that order. And then your little brain doesn't have to work so hard. So this is not true. They're remaking the large altar, or the altar for the king. And they wouldn't have had to do that. this was already done, they wouldn't have changed anything. They made the house, the courtyard, and the fence. They used everything else. Now you can see they're starting to add all these other animals involved in it. Our creator never did any of that. Oh, now they had bronze wheels. No, 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 no. Oh, no. Well, they even had axles for the wheels. No, I can't say any of this would have been, this is being made up. They're saying how many baths or how much, I don't know. Yeah, that is all. And see, they only got 5 altars when there was 12 of them. There's 12 tribes, so how come they only have 10? So that's wrong. Eastwards towards the south, so it's all wrong. Now this king come down and he remade. I don't think so. They might have remade some of these things, but we already have this put together. We aren't going to have pomegranates there. We already know how it's made. This is just wrong. Bronze ages, so if it was polished, that's the way it would come out made. See, this is saying all the utensils were made, but King David had them made. So this is definitely going to be wrong. It would have to be on. Or wait a minute, in the bank. The clay from the Jordan. There's clay. And it was between these two. And the only thing is they wouldn't have gone too far from Jerusalem. And the only well-known city down here is Jericho. It's Jericho. So this would have been wrong. This would have been. is out ground by Jericho. In an area by in an area by the Jordan, cast and in way the now ground is underneath the land, and the land is what you see on the surface. So they know how they write, and this is just the wrong word being used. Cast them in clay on on the land by Jericho. We don't need to know this. See, now there's going to say now they're making the things inside there, and they aren't furniture. There's no such thing as an altar, but there is a table. There is a lampstand. There's bowls for wheat that our Creator made a promise that they would, if they always obey Him, that there would never be famine. And the flowers of the lamps and the tongs of gold. No, those were already made, and it would have been a snuffer. Okay, here's the snuffer, and there would have only been one. And actually the oil that, well, I already probably went through that. Anyways, another video when it was made. Ground vine flowers. If you ever searched ground vine flower or ground vine in the Sinai is where they built that, so you'd have to have a flower from that area. You'll see that that is a very big flower that could hold a lot of oil to burn all day long. There was no spoons, fire pans. The fire pans were on the outside. Spoons, I don't know what they would use for. Fire pans are pretty much, they're going to fill them with like a pan that take like coals for the fire and then stick them that under the kindling for the fire to start to burn the offering up. So they weren't of pure gold. So this is not true here. Okay, David made them here, but didn't make them up there. And there's a treasury in the house of our Creator. Okay, now we know that this is wrong. But it's only this word is wrong right now. I want to put the word win because that's what the story is just telling me here. It's win. Their work. Solomon and they performed as done. When their work for Solomon was done, and I got finished. And you notice what's missing is the gates for the courtyard. They probably would have made new gates too, because that had to be new gates. The other ones were, these gates are going to be the ones that is where Jesus is going to be talking to the high priest when he comes in and kicks him out, or after he kicks him out. So those gates had to be made. I don't see that in the text. So this here, done. For his house and when their work for Solomon was done for his house and courtyard, Solomon, no, he's going to have the Levites bring him in. Solomon, yeah, here it is. This is going to be the next. And it has to be the Levites are going to bring this stuff in. So the priest, the Levites, okay. The priest most likely didn't. There's only 37 of them. So it would have been, okay, I'm getting rid of this. So that's not true right now. It is going to be needed down here. So that would be chapter 7. And that all done, which is good. Getting closer every step of the way here. Clean up in this macro something. It took me like 6 tries to get that one, and it took me a real long time to get this one. I don't know, a couple days. But I don't have the periods and commas in here. And this is where and it wasn't a 4 verse, so that's got to be looked at as well. It's the end. Okay. Two here, working it backwards. 1 here, that's 2. Nope, this and this go together too much. So something's going on here. I got to look at that a little bit more. No, something. There had to be more text than that. Did I get rid of too much text? Okay, now I got those. Trying to find the number between that number and when this blue. Oh, yeah, I guess I did. So it's got to be the 21. 46 then 21. 46 to 21. I think I threw this much out. Got this text. I seen 21. So I've got 19 that I moved up. So this is just going to be thrown in anyway. This is where I moved it. So yeah, that is shorter than I thought. I thought I worked a lot longer and harder than just that little bit of text. So, that'll be the end for this video. And like I said, I'll get to another one as soon as I can. I got to start visiting my dad. My sister's done visiting, so it doesn't give me a chance to get in here and get a good schedule of timing when I can make videos. But what you're seeing is Jesus's prophecy. And if any of you Christians that did stop by and got this far, there's that test that's we Christians will fail. And that's the easiest test I could make. I'm getting another one made together. But boy, that one, a lot of Christians, I don't think many of them, I've got 15 questions. How many do you think you could get right and say you're a Christian? Okay. Because most of the weak Christians, they don't, they ain't gonna, they do terrible. They do terrible. Anyways,